Ladies and gentlemen, St. Floyd is finally going to get his day in court because starting March 8th, Monday morning, Derek Chauvin is going to be on trial, and we will get into what his charges will be. We'll give you a little bit of a primer because outside of what we're seeing here today, it's a little bit scattered, all the information. I don't know if it's been purposefully obfuscated, but outside of actively searching for any information regarding this case, it's been few and far between. Maybe that's just me. Just haven't seen this been properly, covered. So I figured, hey, might as well get everybody up to speed on this one because right now all of the peaceful protests are starting up. And I find it a little bit weird that this trial is going to be happening right at the start of spring because I know it's not officially spring until March 20th, 21st, or 22nd, whatever it lies on this year. But I know around here it's weird, right? Because this time last month it was about 35, 40 below, but yeah, it's right around zero right now, and that's perfect rioting time if you ask me. Just in case, you wanted to start a building on fire, it won't be a little too hot for you. So yeah, brace for impact, Minneapolis. I don't know why this is happening. This trial is going to be happening because it's also going to be a jury trial as well. And everybody and their mother has heard of this case. So how on fucking earth is there supposed to be a fair trial to be had on this one? I would have asked for a change of venue, but then again, I am not running this case. That is probably going to, like I said at the end of the last video, I don't know if anything is going to start off the race riots in the near future. This is going to be it. Because I don't think that the attorney or the district attorney in this case, or even the attorney general of Minnesota, is applying the right charges. And at the end of the day, this might not end well for the people who are openly calling and openly supporting a violent revolution. But yeah, a little backstory into what we're leading into dozen of protests ahead of Derek Chauvin's trial over George Floyd's death, which he may or may not have been responsible for, depending on which coroner's reports you want to read. There are three of them out there, and one's inconclusive, one's on one side, one's on the other, so we'll see, I guess. Protesters marched in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota on March 7th, ahead of former police officer Derek Chauvin standing trial, accused of George Floyd's death. You know what? At least they did us the service of saying he's accused of causing George Floyd's death, because I don't know if you can properly track down who put all the fentanyl in his system or who sold him all of that stuff. But yeah, to be fair, yes, Chauvin is being accused of it, and they're already starting. They know where the courthouse is. There's additional security for it. You can see it right there just on the little box off to the side. I don't know if my head's covering it, but here, I'll just move it up a little bit for you guys. There you go. It's, yeah, already walled off because they know shit is going to get fucking goofy. Just goes to show you that, you know what? I'm sure that there have probably been white supremacist cases out there, and there hasn't been any additional security measures that have been needed for anywhere else across the country. But when there are credible instances that there's going to be additional rioting, like we're seeing here, because I'd imagine this is the most charitable interpretation of what has happened, even if we just go back and forth. Yeah, a whole lot of pictures. I don't know why they're set up in the middle of the road, but I guess you do you bunch of no job having Soros-sponsored shit disturbers. But what kind of evidence is going to be allowed in this case? Okay, we got the body cam footage, obviously. Judge rules past arrests, body cam footage of George Floyd's inadmissible at trial. So, okay, the body cam footage. Okay, have you seen the entire thing outside of the whatever, just about 9 minutes on the neck? All you're going to have to do is just go on the toxicology reports. You're just going to have to look at the basic evidence of his death. Okay, you're just going to have witness testimony. You're not going to have, the fact that they aren't going to allow body cam footage is damning, I guess. It's going to make the Attorney General's job a hell of a lot harder. In a 2019 arrest, Floyd allegedly swallowed controlled substances and engaged in diversionary behavior. So his idea of getting rid of the evidence by swallowing it, he's tried it once, scared to death before, and yeah, it wasn't so lucky the second time, or third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Who knows? This guy has a long rap sheet. Minnesota judge overseeing the trials of 4 former Minneapolis police officers accused of the death of George Floyd has ruled that the details of Floyd's prior arrests will not be admissible, but jurors will be allowed to hear details about the 2 previous incidents involving the officers was seen on video kneeling on George Floyd's neck. A judge ruled. Peter A. Cahill, in an order Tuesday, denied motions to use Floyd's past encounters with law enforcement as evidence, but you're allowed to bring up his rap sheet, just not his less than savory behavior with previous law enforcement officers. Interesting. The judge also rejected the request that evidence related to 16 incidences, yes, not an angel by any means, involving the officers be included. Jurors will, however, be allowed to hear details, so they won't be able to look at the evidence. They're just going to go ahead and have to listen to hearsay and conjecture. I love it. This is so stupid. About the 2 previous incidences involving the officers accused of kneeling on Floyd's neck, Chauvin, Cahill ruled. The jurist said he would explain his decision at a later date. Waiting on that. Chauvin faces charges of second-degree murder and manslaughter, and they also tried to get third-degree murder reinstated, but they were unsuccessful in that because they suck at applying charges to the people that they want to be held accountable. But that's just some of the evidence that's not going to be allowed. We got the Newsweek article pulled up here, and it's just a little brief overview because this is going to be a heady subject for a very long time. So what you need to know. Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose. Came over. Thanks. Okay, bye. No, just kidding. Chauvin is charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter. Earlier this year, Hennepin County Judge Peter Cahill ruled that Chauvin will be tried alone due to capacity issues. The 3 former officers involved in Floyd's death, Thomas Lane, J. Alexander Kyung, and To Tao, really? Minneapolis for you, have been charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and manslaughter. That's going to be tough. That's going to be real tough because another thing, these officers were just following protocol. Now, I bring that up because that's also the defense that Andrew Cuomo could use if he is also brought up on some kind of charges or brought before a council. He was just following the orders of the CDC, of the WHO over there, and in this case, it was following the rules and the procedures and the protocol of the Minneapolis Police Department. So, I don't know where this is going to end up. I'm glad I'm not the council. Cahill has allowed news cameras into Chauvin's trial, a rare sight in the Minneapolis courtroom, citing coronavirus restrictions that limit the number of people in the courtroom. And it's also, I don't know if it's going to be streamed online, but I'm hopefully going to be able to at least peek in because this is going to be a big case that's going to have a lot of different instances that are going to be pertinent in order to making sure that the population, everybody watching, is going to be adequately informed, because relying on the mainstream media to relay this information is not going to be anything that you'd want to stake your reputation if you are somebody who considers himself to be well informed on. Anyways, yes, like it says, Court TV and every other streaming platform is going to be providing it as well, so that's cool. Court TV announced earlier this month that it will be the only network, and our own cameras in the courtroom will provide live gavel-to-gavel coverage. Cool. Definitely not trying to make OJ 2.0 out of this, are you? No, definitely not. So starting tomorrow, we're supposed to be getting the jury selection process, and that could be interesting. Could not be. It's normally a fairly mundane process, but in such a high-profile case such as this, it'll be interesting to see the questions and the methodology provided to the potential jurors in this one, because they're going to have to do a fair amount of screening. And like I said, trying to get a fair and honest jury in Minneapolis, a ground zero for the country burning and practically most of the world, because there's been a lot of Black Lives Matter riots around all of the world. That's what's going to make this interesting. And opening arguments are expected to begin no later than the end of the month on March 29th. But a possible delay could arise after the Minneapolis Court of Appeals on Friday said Cahill should reconsider reinstating a third-degree murder charge against Chauvin, because he threw it out, and then the appellate court hopped in and says that, he should reconsider that. But because he already threw it out, why would he reinstate it? I don't think that that's likely. If they were to substitute the third-degree murder charge with a second-degree murder charge, that would make a little bit more sense. Just showing you how slapdash this is. This is also brought to you in part by the office of Keith Ellison. If you know that name, you know the connotations behind that. The three-judge panel's ruling called for Cahill to follow the precedent set by the state's appeals court last month when it affirmed the third-degree murder conviction in the case of former officer Mohammed Noor for his role in the 2017 fatal shooting of Justine Ruzkic-Damond. Sure. I don't pronounce Polish. Also last week, the House passed the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, just showing you how tough it's going to be to get an impartial court on this one, which would ban chokeholds and qualified immunity for police. Yes, it's in scare quotes because a lot of people don't know what that is. And to just break it down really simplified for a basic layman to understand, qualified immunity means once you have a certain amount of time being a part of a police union, that police union will back you to the end of time. That's why we need to get rid of police unions and unions in general. I hate them all. On behalf of George Floyd's family, we are deeply gratified and grateful that the U.S. House leadership, Ben Crump, race baiter extraordinaire, a civil rights attorney representing the Floyd family, and he was also in there, I think, with Trayvon Martin, but I can't remember, mostly because he's just trying to take up Al Sharpton's old mantle and couldn't be asked. He's really, you couldn't find one picture that has an actual black person holding up a George Floyd picture. That is a perfect example of the absolute state of the Black Lives Matter movement. It is just a bunch of guilty white liberals trying to champion a cause to just hold down minorities for their own political gain. So yeah, as of right now, there is no additional third-degree murder charge. He's only up for the second-degree murder charge and the manslaughter. It'll be tough, but we're going to start with jury selection, so that could get buck wild. But if anything happens on that tomorrow, I will definitely be updating everybody on that one. And yeah, things don't go the proper way. The LA riots are going to look tame in comparison. I think the remake in this instance is going to be a Michael Bay production with the amount of explosions that could happen at the end of this trial. But we're still a little ways off on that, so brace for impact, folks. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.